Jest jeszcze jeden materiał, który chcę zobaczyć, na pewno. I to jest Crimson Desert Combat System Final Preview. Jaram się tą gierką fest. Na Instant Gaming w ogóle ją tam praktycznie 100 taniej możecie kupić. 220 jakoś kosztowała na moment wrzucania tego materiału. Nie wiem, ile faktycznie tam stoi. No ja na premierę będę to streamował. Streamek w czwartek. Będzie odpalony. Będzie również na YouTubie, więc zostawcie tam sobie stary dzwonek, lajka, subskrypcję, cokolwiek. A teraz zobaczymy, co PC Gamer pokazał.
One of the most overstimulating games I've ever played, and I'm gonna make it my mission for the rest of this video to convince you that this is, despite everything, a compliment of the highest order.
What do you want?
Pardon my presumptuousness.
In case you're unfamiliar, Crimson Desert is the first proper attempt at a single-player game by Black Desert Online.
Ej, kurwa, ja wam powiem, że niektóre kadry w Crimson Desercie wyglądają tak dziwnie, bo jakbyś sobie zobaczył takiego Wiedźmina, stary, to ten stary Wiedźmin potrafi, kurwa, wyglądać lepiej niż ten Crimson Desert. I celowo też jeszcze w ogóle odpaliłem takiego wieśka, który nie jest z jakiegoś next gena. No to mówimy o grze, która ma 10 lat już ponad, nie? Teraz. Ja wiem, że oni mają faktycznie swój jakiś silnik, to jest silnik z MMOS-a.
And knockdowns, but with this build our intensity will already be to a point where we can stagger or knock down just about
Ale kurwa, faktycznie tu nie czuć takiego bardzo dużego przeskoku, nie? Okej, no gry to nie jest tylko grafika, więc może gameplayowo to będzie po prostu wyglądało jakoś tak fenomenalnie, że będzie
strictly
wgniatać w
centered
fotel.
around what the swords already do.
Ale to kurwa,
They boost
Wiesiek ma większą głębię, nie? Na ekranie niż Crimson Desert, który teraz wychodzi. Ale dobra, taka dygresja gdzieś tam o grafice.
Familiar, Crimson Desert is the first proper attempt at a single-player game by Black Desert Online developers Pearl Abyss. It's an action romp with some light RPG elements. Think on the level of the
Ja nie
recent
wiem, czemu
Legend
to
of
jest takie,
Zelda
kurwa,
games,
blade.
plus a skill tree. It follows Cliff, a former Greymane, as he seeks out his past battle brothers and gets pulled into, well, I can only assume, based on the exposition I've been privy to, a reality-threatening plot. I've recently played about 6 hours of the game, however, and I can tell you for a
6
fact that
godzin już się
the
meczy grał, dobra.
description I just told you doesn't do this justice. Crimson Desert is a delightfully absurd, high fantasy rampage with absolutely zero restraint. It is unrepentantly and completely dedicated to the world of Fool, which is all the more
Fajnie,
whiplash-inducing
kurwa, ta
given how the
kamera,
game
to
starts
mi się
out with
wydaje,
a
tu bardzo
Game of
pracuje.
Thrones-esque morning of a
Szczególnie z tym
fallen, gleaming
delikatnym
battle
takim
brother that
przytrzymaniem,
gets
jak
scuppered by the Black
jakieś
Bears,
Viscerala
who
robisz.
have out for Cliff's more honorable mercenary company. The game sustains this tone for about 40 minutes before a mysterious beggar vanishes in a cloud of light, leads you to a floating technological sky fortress, gives you a cloak
to,
of
kurwa,
feathers
nie
and a
leży, to jest
grappling hook,
takie-
and tells you that reality hangs in the balance. I then proceeded to find a person's magic helmet that could read ambient memories and
Kurwa, nie wiem, to jest takie aż azjatyckie mi się to z Zeldą kojarzy. Jakieś obeliski, stare runy świecące, magiczna linka do latania.
magical sky fortress, gives you a cloak
To
of
będzie w
feathers and a
końcu high
grappling hook,
fantasy
and tells you
slow. No nie, popatrz stary na to, co się dzieje na ekranie i pomyśl raz jeszcze. No to, kurwa, będzie totalne high fantasy. Ja wiem, że tam ktoś mówi, że to będzie low fantasy, ale no nie, no to beka raczej.
that reality hangs in the balance. I then
Jeszcze mechy
proceeded
do
to find a
tego, no.
person's magic helmet that could read ambient memories and learn how to live trees with my mind via the help of Fae-like children. Nothing encapsulates Crimson Desert's tone more than a fight I was challenged to by a knight in the town square.
I hope you live up to the legends. I don't aim to disappoint.
If this were a grimdark fantasy, Cliff might have somberly put him down with a warrior's respect. In Crimson Desert, however, I spent 5 minutes learning how to do a jump kick from the guy, stabbed him a few times, and watched as he stood up like a bested antagonist from Dragon Ball Z and praised my strength. It's like if George R.R. Martin had gotten really into Bollywood action movies. You know, the sick as hell ones like Bahubali, where legions of soldiers launch themselves as the enemy walls via palm tree catapults. That hasn't happened in Crimson Desert
Yeah,
yet, but I
it's not
can
the
tell
mech
you
stuff.
there are mechs and a knight who teaches you how to body slam people. This all sounds like it shouldn't work, but honestly, Crimson Desert has done nothing but delightfully tap into my inner 14-year-old's neurotransmitters and set them all firing. And its combat system has me absolutely ravenous to play with my new toys.
Don't test me.
Crimson Desert's combat system is
Spinanka.
nuts. I've talked about it before, but now that I've played several more hours of it, I can confirm that it is more nuts than previously anticipated.
Patrz, ale kurwa, widzisz to? Jakie to jest płaskie, tu cieni nie ma, nie? Żadna postać tu nie rzuca cienia. Koń nie ma cienia. O chuj tu chodzi, stary. Czemu te wszystkie gry dzisiaj, kurwa, wychodzą bez cienia? To jest totalnie pojebane. Nikt tu nie rzuca starych cienia. To tło to paskudnie wygląda. To ja już wolałbym mieć trochę mniejszy draw distance, ale nie widzieć takie slopa w tle. Ja w chuj jestem ciekawy, jak to będzie wyglądało na twoim kompie, jak będziesz w to grał.
At the event, a fellow journalist marveled over my shoulder at the fact that I developed a
A patrz,
completely...
a tu już kurwa jest niby, nie?
At the event, a fellow journalist
Tu już normalnie każdy ma stary cień. Nie wiem, może koleś jakieś tu złe ustawienie graficzne odpalił.
hours of it, I can confirm that
No nie, tu może kurwa jakiś delikatny stary rzucek chuj wie, no ale no nie, to jest...
it is
Chyba
more
na
nuts
low tu jest
than
grane.
previously anticipated. At the event,
I teraz patrz, tu przychodzi i tu już normalnie mam cienie na sobie. Drzewko kurwa rzuca
journalist
cień, krzak rzuca
marveled
cień,
over my
przesuwa
shoulder
się
at the
to.
fact that I developed a
Pa.
completely distinct combat style from them, chaining a 3-strike heavy attack into a palm strike combo that kept my foe stun locked long enough to charge a jumping
Tle
double
też
kick
masz,
to
nie?
the chin.
Normalne cienie.
While Cliff's skill tree might change in the full release, at the moment it's absolutely flooded with options for archery, unarmed combos, swordplay, or using the aforementioned grappling hook to hurl enemies all over the shop. Or Cliff himself, as I quickly discovered. Cliff can parry, he can grapple, he can launch himself to the air and do a Red Dead style Deadeye flurry of arrows, he can meteor strike from the heavens and belly flop onto his foes. He can also apparently throw a tree at people. I didn't figure that one out, but it's apparently a thing. This is counterbalanced by the fact that Cliff's opponents have a lot of ways to ruin your day too, giving almost as good as they get, hurling you about with grabs or utterly swarming you with blades. These guys don't wait their turn, I can tell you that.
Kurwa, zaklikali, dobre.
If this sounds overwhelming, that's because it is. But as I played,
Ty, a było cokolwiek już gdzieś wspomniane, jak tutaj będzie wyglądała śmierć w tej grze? Będziesz ładował save'a, czy będziesz się respił gdzieś z jakimś debuffem?
I simply decided to surrender myself to the nonsense, adopting the same mindset I did while I was playing Dragon's Dogma 2. And you know what? I had a
Znowu
blast.
kurwa. Zero kurwa cienia. O chuj tu chodzi. Przecież to paskudnie wygląda.
This game is a combat sandbox. Cliff has so many ways to slay people that the objective starts becoming less, how do I dispatch these
To
foes
brzmi, kurwa,
efficiently?
bardzo dobrze.
And more, how do I dispatch these
Sandbox
foes in the
kombatowy.
most clippable way possible? I felt like how I imagine an overexcited puppy must feel when wrestling with a fellow dog in the mud. The biggest mark of absolutely biblical greed on display from Crimson Desert, however, is the fact that this isn't even the only character you can play. Later in the game, you unlock Damine and Ungka, and while they share a similar chassis with Cliff and have smaller skill trees, they feel just as
O
distinct.
kurwa, jaka
I wasn't
czarodziejka,
able to get
szermierka.
any footage of these two characters.
Jezu, w tej grze będą spluwy.
It was in a part of the preview that we weren't allowed to record, and they were clearly works in progress. However, I can tell you a little bit about them. Damine is a flintlock gunslinger and fencer who can hurl her shield Captain America style, or Black Widow leglock throw enemies a clean 10 feet, or call down spears of light from the heavens.
O kurwa,
Ungka,
ork.
meanwhile, is a big bastard with a huge axe and a Barrett-style gun arm. I giggled with abject
To już wiem,
glee
kim chce grać
once I
najwięcej.
realized that Ungka had a grapple-based parry, where if you hit the grab button at the right time, you could stuff a poor sod onto the end of your arm cannon, aim him at the
Kurwa, taki
sky,
absurd.
and send him flying. This feels exactly as good as it sounds. This emphasis on complexity occasionally gets Crimson Desert into trouble. You should play this game with a controller, like any self-respecting character action game enjoyer, but boy, is the control scheme crowded. Absolutely no button real estate is wasted here, leading to a boatload of misinputs and a Tekken-style list of combos to memorize. Cliff and his allies control with about as much complexity as any technical fighting game character, which means you'll be spending much of your playtime experimenting or bungling button presses. You can pull off some absolutely absurd nonsense in Crimson Desert.
Ale poczekaj, co?
Absolutely no button real estate is wasted here, leading to a boatload of misinputs and a Tekken-style list of combos to memorize. Cliff and his allies control
Ale to jest pytanie, co koleś ma w ogóle na myśli, mówiąc, że tu są różne kombosy, wiesz, czy to będą różne kombosy na zasadzie faktycznie bijaty przód, tył, prawy, no nie? Jak w Tekkenie, albo jakieś double inputy do grabów, czy no po prostu to będzie, nie wiem, jak w jakimś Stellar Blaze albo Devil May Cry, że będziesz miał szybki, wolny, szybki, przytrzymany, wolny, nie?
with about as much complexity as any
Nie wiem, jak
technical
wydało
fighting
to
game
wygląda.
character, which means you'll be spending much of your playtime experimenting or bungling button presses. You can pull off some absolutely absurd nonsense in Crimson Desert, but the price you pay is in usability. You've got a lot of time to learn though, because this game seems downright massive.
No wydaje się, że na ta gra.
At the tail end of the preview, I was given
Yeah.
access to a few
O, i patrz, i nagle stary, full cienie, wszystko wyrenderowane, źródło światła z jednej strony rzucone odpowiednio. O co chodzi? Jak to będzie wyglądać na premierę? Ja się chyba tego najbardziej boję, że to będzie po prostu zagliczowany. Nagle będziesz wchodził na jakiś teren, to będzie niepoprawnie wczytany. Ale ta gra chyba jest tym, czy miało być Dragon's Dogma.
saves, which alas I could not record for prosperity, but can in fact talk about. One of which I was given access to a dragon mount you get later in the game, as well as a flying mech. On this dragon,
Chuj,
it took me a
samolotem
solid
latasz.
5 minutes just to drag Cliff from one biome to the next, on the back of a dragon, which can fly. I obviously cannot vouch for whether or not this ocean is an inch deep mined, but judging by the sheer amount of objectives hidden in the completionist menu, Crimson Desert seems to be determined to be freaking
Ta też tak macie, że patrzycie na tego Crimsona i myślicie sobie, ja pierdolę, on był taki trochę bardziej europejski, mniej azjatycki, nie? Jakby było trochę mniej tych takich odklejonych rzeczy, pokroju jakieś mechy, pociągi i spluwy i magiczne linki, tylko by był taki niżej, byłby tak niżej osadzonym fantazy, takim trochę mroczniejszym, trochę bardziej brutalnym, nie?
My 4-hour play session prior to that was spent jogging around a single town and its surrounding territories, and I hadn't come close to cleaning up all my side quests. The slightly concerning amount of busy work Crimson Desert will be throwing at you is bolstered by the fact that this thing wants to be every video game at once. Breath of the Wild style cooking is present for you to create
Kurwa,
consumables.
lecznicy se
You
robisz.
can cut down trees for lumber. You can get a GTA style bounty on your head. You can gamble or do wrestling minigames. You can get a faction reputation up or go on bounty hunts. You can
brakcie.
clear out outposts. You can go fishing. You can, according to someone a couple of stations over from me, bribe members of the church. For what purpose? It's unclear. And that's just covering the stuff I found in 4 hours. According to prior gameplay videos and discussion from Pearl Abyss, this game will also have harvesting, ranching, stronghold management, follower missions, and minigames. So many minigames. The real question here is whether Crimson Desert will buckle under its own
Wow,
mammoth weight,
dzikiej
and
świni, czy da
it's been
się
a question
jeździć.
in the middle of my mind. This preview did a decent amount to assuage those fears. Everything I did was basically fun, but I also felt like I was staring down the barrel of a colossal game, one whose devs have Icarus as a
Assassin's
role
Creed,
model.
stary.
It's as though every
Normalnie
idea,
Parkera, pa.
every feature pitch meeting, every post-it note for this
Ciszę
would be
trochę
cool
Parkera.
on the developer's desk has been fleshed out into its
Brooklyn,
own
kurwa.
bodied mechanic, and I'm not sure if it would work if the rest of Crimson Desert didn't seem so
Ciekawe, czy
hilariously
salto umie
unrestrained.
zrobić.
Crimson Desert's mechanical gluttony is somehow charming, and it pairs really well at the moment with its irreverent story, filled with NPCs who will feel well suited to the pantomime. A man who can't stop throwing tantrums over his goat's stolen horns, or a strange interdimensional wizard in a sky fortress all seem like completely reasonable additions in a game where I can body slam a group of bandits from the top rope. It helps also that Crimson Desert still somehow takes itself seriously. This is an utterly absurd game, but it's also completely sincere. You won't find a single lampshade or, so yeah, I do that now, inside. Cliff takes the presence of interdimensional sky wizards in his stride, and the world warps to the constant moon logic in a way that is honestly delightful. So far, Crimson Desert is a game I'm somewhat concerned Pearl Abyss tore from the imagination of a 14-year-old Harvey. It is lab designed to produce hell yeah moments. I cannot say whether the full thing will work. In my 6-hour playthrough, it didn't stop working, but that's a small bite of the everything bagel Pearl Abyss is
No,
hubristically
kurwa,
constructing like a
masę kontentu,
Tower of Babel. It is an oncoming tidal wave of unrelenting mechanical complexity and systems where absolutely nobody at any point asked if this was all a bit much. But you will find me there, arms outstretched, bellowing, "Witness me!" with a silver spray paint on my teeth, ready to be swept away, whether that's into greener pastures or to get dashed upon the rocks.
No i kurwa. No nie mogę się doczekać tego gówna. W sensie, wiesz, że shit, nie? Nie, że to będzie gówno. To może być good shit.